What is going on out there, peeps? I'm sure some of you or most of you already know what is going on and what we're seeing today in the gold and silver market. So I'm going to get into that, but I also want to touch bases on a couple of things that I see all coming tied in together. A quick reminder, if you are considering buying some precious metals like the vast majority of you have, consider our friends over at Money Metals Exchange, please. And just go ahead, and the link is in the description. If you go there, buy more than $100 worth of precious metals, please use promo code Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y, and you will get a free ½ ounce of silver. We have Pimpy's Investment Chat. It's the same name as the YouTube channel. In here, we do talk about investment opportunities, gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, as well as foreign currency investments. No politics in there, please. The hidden things are in front of your eyes. Over here, we do talk about NESARA, Gesara, current events, politics, QAnon, things that people call a conspiracy, like chemtrails, false flag events, 9/11. All of them are free to join. The links are in the description. So I want to get into a couple things here real quick. First of all, Lynette Zang is touching on something that I released a video today called The Great Reset versus NESARA, Gesara. And this thing, the Great Reset, the more I look into it, because that's where I've been spending my time, really just dissecting what I'm reading. And there's a lot of things in there that concern me. And so anyways, Lynette will touch bases on some of those things today. She doesn't link it directly to the Great Reset, but she's talking about the IMF and the BIS, which the BIS seems to be behind a lot of things. All pushing us to 100% digital currency. This is bad. We don't want this. They're going to try to incentivize the hell out of you. Make it look catchy, make it look great, trick everybody into doing it. And once that happens, well, hell, let's listen to Lynette. So for a few minutes, I'm going to let you listen to Lynette Zang. You know, like I said, if I had Pimpy University, she would be my professor in gold and silver, all right? Now, the first part of this, the audio is bad, so just bear with it, but then it clears up after a few minutes. And then I'm going to take you over here to Frank Holmes, talking about the market and where we are and where it's going.
Now, you might recall, because I refer to this all the time, the seminal piece by the IMF, breaking below, 2015, breaking below the lower zero bound. If you haven't watched any of those videos yet, you need to. You'll find the links to that report, an easy read on our blog. But in that report, they laid out an 18-step process of how they would change us from a paper money system into a digital money system. And guess what? They are on number 8 right now as we speak. And that is to formally make money in central bank.
It'll come back on. Hold on. Told you there's audio problems. So give it a second here.
Control a lot of how much we, the public, create new money through debt. Right? But it takes 18 months for the commercial banks of running that through the system before the central banks know if their policies are working or not. So this would give them direct and immediate control because they can take us as far below the lower zero bound as they want to. Now, what they said in this paper is
the psychological costs of the displacement of paper currency from the center of the monetary system can be alleviated to the extent that psychological attachment to the electronic dollar, euro, yen, or pound can be created and fostered to compete with the psychological attachment to the paper dollar, euro, yen, or pound. And what they're really talking about, those are just names. That's all that they are. But people marry the legal money of the state, thinking that it cannot but help but regain some of its value. And hey, if you've lived it all, then you know that once something costs more, then usually costs too much less. And at least certainly over time, simply costs more in terms of the currency, but with the physical paper, with the paper dollar, there's only so far. You can't go below zero. In the digital dollar, you can, but they've got to keep things as much as normal, or appearing to be as much as what we're used to as possible, so they can make that transition and nobody realizes it until it's too late. We know they've been planning for this. This was 2015. So today we're going to talk about the digital dollar that's being introduced simultaneously through the Congress and through the Senate. And that's pretty unique for them to be doing that simultaneously. And by the way, I'm going to show you, they put a date on that as well. And I have to tell you, this is one of the ITM clients out there. So I want to thank you very much if you're watching this video that shot this over to one of the consultants who sent it to me. And I do. If you send something over, because we're a community here, everybody's eyes need to be on this.
I agree with her 100% on this. You guys, we really have to start paying attention to what's really going on. They're keeping us distracted so much with what's going on in politics that a lot of these things are flying right past us. Now, I still have a lot of hope in Donald Trump that he is the one person that's there to help us. But if he isn't, he definitely is in position to make all these people's dreams come true based on all the actions that he's already taken. So we have to make sure that he gets back in office for more than one reason. I don't want to get too into that because I don't want to get too political. Let's focus on gold. Okay, so what she's talking about is something I touched on a video today, Gesara versus the Great Reset. What she's going to talk about is the fact that they're trying to force us all into 100% digital currency. I can't stress this enough, how much we don't want that. You hear what she's saying? Once they have control of us, that's it. They're going to incentivize us. They're going to do all types of things necessary to push us over into this digital currency. But once we're there, they have control of our money. They're already making us reliant on the government with this quarantine, this shutdown, we need this stimulus checks. No, fight the stimulus checks. You don't want the stimulus checks. Tell them to open up the damn economy. That's what you should be fighting for. Thinking it's cool to kick back and get free money from the government is the worst thing you could do. It doesn't make a difference how bad you need it. We all need money. I get it. But what we should be doing is fighting for the economy to be open. The longer it is shut down, the more desperate people get, because she's even going to say this. She says they're going to make you so desperate that you'll do and take whatever they give you.
If it's something that I'm not talking about or haven't talked about and you see something, talk to one of the consultants. Send them a link. I look at everything that they send me. And so I'm really appreciative because that's what community does. We have each other's backs. And they're changing the laws right now. And of course, as you've heard me say many times, we have to be desperate enough to accept anything that they want to do. And my personal goal is that the people that are in power right now that got us into this mess and have robbed us of a tremendous amount of wealth and transferred it over their way and to Wall Street's way, I don't want them in power.
I just said that in the same video, the Gesara versus the Great Reset, how these people are giving us this plan that they'd had put together to help the world. But those are the same people who put us in this predicament. They're saying how there's racial discrimination, there's wealth gaps, there's all this. But they are the ones that created it. So how can you trust the people who got us in this predicament in the first place? How could we trust them to then give us the plan? That's what they do. We're like sheeple. They just corral us and push us in a direction they wanted us to go. More and more people, though, are starting to resist. The Great Awakening is making this happen.
I don't want them to set up the new system the way they deem, because it will not be in our best interest. And I definitely do not want them to be in power over us after this is over. It makes having physical gold and silver outside of the system so much more important. And as a reminder, here's the Bank for International Settlements, monetary flour, which they came out with in 2017. And look at this area right here. That's a central bank digital currencies. Wholesale means that it goes to the commercial banks. But right here, we've talked about this before, this is retail. So it bypasses the commercial banks and therefore gives the central bank direct and immediate control.
So in NESARA Gesara, we talk about this all the time. Even with QAnon, gold ends the Fed. Again, we put so much faith in what QAnon's saying, and so much faith that Trump is going to do the right thing. If he doesn't, we are screwed. So I've been reflecting on this, man. He really is the last hope I got for anything that's going on. I've put in a lot of faith into Trump that he is going to do the right thing. If he's really going to end the Fed and the central banks, he has got to do this very soon. We have got to make a move on this gold, or it should be asset-backed currencies. That's what we should do. You can see already what the New World Order, whether you believe in it or not, or the globalists, or these people from the Great Reset are planning on doing. It's already being planned out. They're using the coronavirus as an excuse. They're going to tell us that the currencies are no longer no good because, God, you might catch the virus off of the money. This is a lie. It's a huge lie. We're already seeing a coin shortage, but explain to me how we're seeing a coin shortage when they've made billions of coins every year. What the hell happened to the other coins? I can understand if the coins made for 2020 were limited and there was a low mintage because of the coronavirus, but there should not be no countrywide coin shortage at all. They're destroying the coins because they're going to attempt to push us 100% into a digital currency.
So think about the $1,200 stimulus check. We'll be talking about this more, but we've already talked about it. So much of that has gone into savings because people are unsure of the next income that they're going to have.
So, again, I hate to keep interrupting, but Lynette Zang brings something up. So, with the banks, our whole entire economy is built on a debt system. It really is. In order for us to create wealth, you have to create debt. Okay? So, if people start saving and they are wise about managing their money, then you can't create a lot of debt. The system fails. This is not the system we want to be in at all. So what they do to force you to spend your money is they start going to very low interest rates, to 0% interest rates, to negative interest rates. So now when it's negative, it costs your money to be in the bank. So in order for you to benefit at its full value of purchasing power, you must spend it right away. So you're never able to save money to retire, anything like that. Basically, they're creating a class of slaves. That's exactly what's going on right now.
However, that's not what they wanted them to do. They wanted them to go out and spend that money. Well, if you have negative interest rates and you're sitting there watching your principal balance in your bank account evaporate, what are you most likely to do?
I didn't know she was going to say
that. Spend it into anything that you think could hold value better than the currency in your account, the fiat currency in your account. I also want to point out that the largest area that is both widely accessible, because it's universally accepted, as well as peer-to-peer, so people trust it better, is commodity money. What's commodity money? Physical gold and silver that have been money for thousands of years.
Yep.
That's why you see spot gold and spot silver doing what it's doing, because there is a flight to safety because of all the new money that the central banks are creating. It makes it far more important. And honestly, I modified my strategy once I saw that they were taking us digital. So whereas before I thought, okay, once we go into the new currency system and it's more stable, that I would convert more of my physical gold into the new currency, not going to do it. I'm going to convert it as I need to, because I'm telling you right now, once you're digital, there are no limitations to how far below zero you can go, because you will lose absolute control.
Do you hear what she's saying? She had an exit plan. She modified her exit plan. For all of us holding on to gold and silver, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity in which not only will we be able to preserve any wealth or savings that we have by holding on to gold and silver. That's why people with the IRAs are saying, what should I do with my IRAs? Well, I can't tell you what to do with it, but it would make sense to me if you took 25 to 30% of your IRA account and bought precious metals that you hold. Okay, this way then, if they do what she's talking about, you're protected by precious metals.
Even if you have cash out of the system, we've talked about this, they will be able to reduce its value based upon how far below zero they're going, so that when you ultimately go to use that cash, if it's fiat dollars, yeah, you won't get $1 for it. Maybe you'll get 40 cents, 50 cents, 80 cents, and we've already lost most of its purchasing power value, which is really what matters most to you and me. So we can see the setup, they've been working on this for a long time, ever since 2008, when the system died. Even though they covered it with paper so it didn't look like it died, come on, we all know that it died. And they're absolutely executing step 8. Let's look at how they're doing it. This is the bill, and again, the link to all of this is on our blog. So go ahead and follow it, because they're calling it the Banking for All Act. Great name. Now, interestingly enough, this was introduced in on March 19th of 2020. And also, they just had a committee meeting, which they haven't really said the results of that. So far in the tracker, it's just coming in as introduced, but they had a meeting on it, both the Congress and the Senate, on June 30th.
See that date up there? They want this thing implemented by January 1st, 2021. In my video, NESARA Gesara versus the Great Reset, they plan on launching the January 2021. So this is not a coincidence. But what we have to do is really pay attention to who's trying to push this Senate. Because you can see it's right here. You can see it's Democratic. Sheridan Brown is a sponsor of this bill. We have to see who's behind this, because these are the people who are behind this globalist agenda, this Great Reset. This is the date that they were talking about launching this Great Reset, the beginning of January of 2021. So really, stacking up on gold and silver right now could not be a better time.
Here is, in this bill, all Federal Reserve banks shall not later than January 1 of 2021 make digital wallets available to all residents and citizens of the United States and to businesses domiciled in the United States. Are they going to demonetize the cash that's out there? No, they're just going to incentivize you to go digital. And hey, this pandemic, pandemic.
She said pandemic, because it is. It is a pandemic. You have got to resist creating this wallet. I don't care how much incentive they give you. Don't create the wallet. You need to be able to exchange your services, which is when you work, for a physical dollar that you can hold and spend. If you're 100% digital, they control it all.
Really pushed everything forward in the digital world. They're talking about 5 or 6 years. So this has been in the works for a long time, getting us used to everything. And if you think it's just the commercial banks, oh no. the authority for state non-member banks and credit unions to offer these pass-through digital dollar wallets.
So that should answer your questions. Many of you are going, what about credit unions? They're probably not going to do anything to credit unions, are they? Yes, you can see the plans I told you in what we can learn from Cyprus. It hit every bank that they did this to. So I've been creating these videos, and now I'm focusing my videos on what's called the Great Reset. I did an introduction video today. I'm hoping you guys pay attention to it. Now, this is outside of just investments, but you guys got to understand how important it is to understand that what's going on with that video, because it does affect all of our monies. It affects everything. And you should see what their plans are. Okay, so, I understand that this is an investment channel, but what I want to also bring to you is information that you should be aware of that can affect us, our lives, our livelihoods, and where it is our government's trying to go with our currencies, our money, what they plan to do. Because you see, the money is key to everything. If they control your money, they control you. Okay, so anyways, I know you see this on here because in the beginning of this, it says something about a $200,000 coin. And what she's talking about is one of the coins that were graded that's older. And in the auction, it got $200,000. But anyways, I wanted to show you this part of this, okay? So she goes on, and I'll leave the link for this. But anyway, she's going on to show you that this thing's been in the plan since 2015. They're going to move us into what's called a digital dollar. And she's weary of it. And she's telling us to resist at every level. And that you should be buying as much gold and silver as possible. So that when you resist going into the system, you're going to need something, a commodity with a lot of value that you can barter with. And trade with people to get stuff that you need. Okay? So we need to focus on it. This isn't fear-mongering. This is just telling you to be prepared, just in case. You don't want somebody controlling your money, especially money that you've saved your whole life for, or that you've been busting your ass for. The last thing you need is the government telling you when you can and can't spend it, and them taking it away from you when they think you've done something wrong. So let's get into this other video. It's Kitco, but it does talk about where the market is going with gold. I told you guys already. I just want to brag just a little bit. I told you that we're going to see market corrections from time to time. It's known as shaving, or what they do is called taking profits. You know what I mean? Is what they're going to do. They'll talk about it in here, but let me show you something real quick. Let it refresh. So here we are. Let me just make sure. So here we are. So I told you guys this would happen. What's that? That we would see a market correction. Gold and silver would drop in value, but it would rebound. Silver is already over $28. Did I not tell you this was going to happen? And we would see a recovery. Gold is back up above $2,000. They keep trying to push it down. As a matter of fact, there was a quick drop right here earlier today. Look at that. And then it just rebounded. So because of the climb and demand for gold and silver, and the rate in which the prices are going up, or the values are going up, you're going to see market corrections. So, but we won't see huge drops like we just saw. That happens sometimes, not all the time. Okay, so anyways, you might see 10 to 12% drops from time to time. So anyways, look at, again, just like I said, that's why I tell you guys, don't invest with your emotions. This is really good. We're already going back up. That means the values are being supported by the market. Silver up above $28. Gold at $2,013. It is looking really good. But I want you to listen to Frank Holmes, okay? Listen.
Joining me today is Frank Holmes, CEO of U.S. Global Investors. And Frank, you've been talking about a possible correction for quite a while. Tell us why what we saw this week was normal, in your opinion.
You know, we love to go back and look at history, and we say that two things we follow. In all our perspectives, we say we believe that government policies are a precursor to change, and that we create statistical models, macro and micro models, to try to understand the volatility of markets and trends. So we are in a secular bull market, and we've been in that market for over 18 months, and it started in January of 2019 when the 50-day average price of gold went above the 200-day. And so far, we've had several of these corrections in this run to 2000. And it's just normal. And then I went back recently to the research of 2008 when gold bottomed to 2011 when it went to 1900. And there we had these huge corrections of 3 times of more than 10%. Now, the DNA of volatility of gold stocks is 2 to 1. That is, gold falls 10%, the gold stocks will fall 20%. Gold goes up 10%, gold stocks go up 20%. And it's just recognizing and respecting that DNA of volatility. And every asset class has its own DNA of volatility. And what I
want to interrupt real quick. So for those of you who have invested into minor stocks, precious metal stocks, listen what he's saying. There's this pattern that develops. So if gold goes down 10%, then you'll see the stocks drop of 20%. I'm talking about minor stocks, gold and silver minor stocks. If it goes up 10%, then those will go up 20%. Okay? I told you one of the safest stocks to be into during a crisis definitely would be minor stocks.
I love, because the CNBC interviewers so often in New York are, anti-gold, and they just don't get it, but they say it's too volatile. But gold's volatility on a daily basis, 70% of the time, it's a non-event, David, to go up or down 1%. And over 10 trading days, it's a non-event to go plus or minus 3%. Gold and the S&P 500 are the same. They actually have the same DNA of volatility. It's the gold stocks which have a greater volatility, like silver has a greater volatility to gold. And when you map this DNA of volatility of how much has moved over 10 days or 60 trading days or 1 year, it gives you a feeling to sort of counterweight your emotions of greed to fear.
You're right, Frank. What we saw on Tuesday, however, was the biggest one-day drop since 2013. Was the magnitude of this drop concerning to you?
No, because we made all-time highs.
Okay.
That's what you have to expect.
So the higher the price, the more positive the rally, the more momentum we're seeing in the bull market, the more corrections you can expect. Is that more or less your thesis?
The velocity of new entrants and people taking profits that were earlier increases. So that volatility increases. That's what usually takes place. But what I was trying to point out to investors is that gold over 60 trading days was up 2 standard deviations. Well, that suggests over the next 60 trading days, a 90-some-odd% probability of a correction. And what would that correction be? Well, 1% is 1 sigma over 60 days is about 6%. So that means if it was to revert back to the mean, you get a 12% correction. That doesn't mean it's a bear market, not even close to it.
Do you think that...
So, do you hear what he's saying? We keep going up. We're going at a healthy pace. But every now and then you're going to see a dip. It'll drop down about 12% is what he's saying. So you shouldn't be emotionally emotionally attached to your investment. Don't let it panic you. So it's normal for it to swing this way. As people keep trying to grab up profits is what they do. So they buy $10,000 worth of gold. It goes up to $15,000. They'll sell 5,000 of it and keep the profit and go back to the original investment of $5,000. Shaving is what they're doing. All right. So this is normal. What I'm trying to tell you is just keep stacking. Stop waiting for it to go down. It's nice to buy on the dip, but if you're waiting for it to go down, by the time it does, it could be really more expensive than where you were when you first thought about it. All right.
Any macro conditions were responsible for this week's correction, or was it just technical correcting, as you said?
Technical correcting. The dollar got a little stronger. That impacted. But you know what really blows me away is the euro. I mean, the euro should be at 85 cents to the dollar for so many other fundamental factors I look at. But right now, on macro forces, is more sentiment. And I think that when we go to this next wave up in gold to even higher highs, we're going to see all of a sudden gold marching up in many more countries' currencies relative to the dollar.
You see that? We have another wave of increase, new highs for gold. That's going to bring silver along with it versus the other dollars in other countries. In other words, this is affecting the world's currencies.
Do you think that there would be any activities that central banks around the world outside the United States could take that could drive up the dollar?
Rates, real interest rates on a relative basis.
Yeah,
If they popped interest rates, the Fed funds to 1%, gold would crack in dollar terms, and the dollar would soar against other countries' currencies. Gold would stay on a relative basis high in euros and yen, etc., because their rates are still nothing. So it's really, it's an interest rate differential.
Right.
But what's important for investors is to recognize that most of the negative real rates still to this day are in European countries, and most of the world, the G20, are at flat interest rates or zero. And this really makes gold this an incredibly attractive asset class.
Yeah, so
around the world. Okay, I just want to show you that your investment is not a waste of time and that we can expect it to go up. He's saying another wave. We are on a normal bull run. And bull runs for gold usually last somewhere around 10 years. It just keeps gradually climbing, climbing, and climbing. But we are expecting some bigger jumps as the correction of the value of gold and silver versus the dollars, the gap starts to, it needs to shrink. So that means gold and silver value is going to jump up. So it doesn't make a difference about the value of the dollar increasing. It does a little bit. It allows us to slowly continue to add to our collections. Stack as much as you can. I told you guys not to stress, not to worry. We see the rebound. It has already happened. Gold and silver are almost up to where it was before we seen that little drop off happen. People were panicking. That's why I did that video. So don't worry about it. We're going to see it. It's going to continue to climb up slowly, and then it drops a little. Climbs up slowly, and then it drops a little. Every now and then, one of those drops would be about 10 to 12% drop. Don't panic. I keep telling you guys, don't panic. It will rebound, and then it'll continue to climb in value. All right? So we're seeing that happen now. They keep trying to push gold back down below 2,000. They keep trying to push silver back down. Well, silver is now below 28 bucks. But that doesn't make a difference. Right now, if you're procrastinating thinking it's going to get much lower, you're going to miss out. Okay, you guys? I just wanted to share this with you. Look, again, if you are considering buying precious metals, please give a consideration to our friends over there at Money Metals Exchange. The link is in the description. I told you this gold and silver was not a waste of time. It was a very wise investment. Okay, you guys? I hope you liked the video. If you do, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I surely do appreciate it. And I'll talk to you later.